Say they are keeping an open mind about the shocking murders of 3 people and injuries to 3 others in a night of violence. The city centre was locked down after officers found the bodies of 2 19-year-old students in the early hours of this morning. A stolen van also ran over 3 people, and police found a 3rd body, a man in his 50s, thought to be the owner of the van, on a different road in the city. The incidents are all being linked. A 31-year-old man was tasered and arrested, and although counter-terror officers are involved, it is not currently being treated as a terrorist attack. The Prime Minister called it a shocking incident and said his thoughts are with the families of those killed and injured. Our correspondent Ben Chapman is at the scene tonight. Ben.
It has been a day of horror, followed by shock and then sadness here in Nottingham. There is a police cordon still in place here where 2 19-year-old students died, and also at several other locations across this city after a series of attacks in the early hours of this morning, which, for the moment at least, don't have any explanation. Discarded in the middle of the road, the paramedics' equipment marks the place where a terrifying few hours began, where we now know that 2 university students were stabbed to death, the first victims in a series of attacks before most people here were even awake.
Today, there has been a shocking and tragic series of events which has led to the lives of 3 innocent people being taken and left another member of the public in a critical condition in hospital.
When people woke up here this morning, they found great swathes of their city locked down as the sequence of horrifying events in the early hours began to emerge. Police were called to Ilkeston Road just after 4 a.m, where 2 19-year-olds were found stabbed and unresponsive. A man was also found dead in Magdala Road. It's believed the suspect then stole that man's van and drove it at members of the public in Milton Street, injuring 3 people. Police then found the van and arrested a 31-year-old man on Maple Street. The 3 people hit and injured by the van had been waiting at a bus stop in the city centre.
He went straight into her. He didn't even bother to turn. Just went bang straight into her.
The van, with its front end dented and its windscreen smashed, ended its journey in a residential street. People woken by a man being pinned to the ground and arrested.
Yeah, so it was at 5:30 this morning. I woke up, went to my window, and I saw a police car and a policeman running side by side there, and he said, "Get out of the car." And from that point, I thought I heard a gunshot. I'm not 100% sure of that.
They were shouting him to get out of the car, and then they dragged him out of the car, and then that's why his stuff is all on the floor.
By lunchtime, armed police were carrying out raids.
This is very scary.
Those who'd broken into this house were counter-terrorist specialist firearms officers. This raid has been taken place not far from where the police cordoned off the road after those 2 people were found dead at 4 o'clock this morning. It is just a couple of 100 yards to where armed police have gone into this house. They say they're not looking for anyone else in connection with the attacks, but are working to establish the motive.
It's right that Nottinghamshire police are working with counter-terrorism policing, but it's also fair to say that everybody and all professionals on the front line are keeping an open mind as to what the precise motive might have been.
Police say some parts of the city will remain closed while detectives continue their investigation. They, like so many here, are searching for answers about how and why this happened. Ben Chapman, ITV News, Nottingham.